The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Thursday, the 17th day of October 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. The day brought to you by the VAC Group of Companies, Medical Windows, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman. She's Maya Palacio. Maya, can you hear me?
And your audio could be a bit better.
Yeah, I know what. It just testing.
That's much better. That's
all right.
Loud and clear.
There you go. Just making sure that. All right, she's my Palacio. Hey, and
all right, too loud.
Okay, too excited. Okay. How you doing today, MP?
You know what? I'm having a pretty successful morning. I just feel like everything's going pretty okay. You?
I don't know. Just now, as you know, the intro is playing something. Though I had to shut the board off and shut it back. Turn it back on, and I was like, "What's going on?" I think somebody was trying to play with us this morning.
Something on your side, not my side. My side.
No, it was me. Yeah, it was me. I'll tell you what happened, audience. I'll tell you. You gotta come all in my pocket because you're all in my business every day. But I'm gonna tell you anyway, since you're all in my pocket. It's not gonna matter. So what happened was, I try not to take my computer over the studio desk because when I do that, I tend to work overly, right? Well, yesterday, I decided to unhook my computer and take it in the living room. Bad decision. Because what happens then? You work into the night. And when I came in the studio this morning, I couldn't find my computer. It's like, where's my computer, right? It was in the living room. So when I hooked it back up to the power, everything wasn't hooked back up. So that's what happened just now. Yeah. So moral of the story, get your work done in your space. Don't take it where you're not supposed to be working. Don't take it where you're supposed to be relaxing and enjoying. Hard, right?
I'm trying to learn that one. That's the reason why I even got a laptop, was so I can work everywhere. And hey,
look, we're going to talk about social media, but a laptop, probably the worst thing for people who are workaholics, because a computer you're not carrying everywhere you go. A laptop is like, oh, I'll get this done. I'll do that. And it's not healthy, folks. It's not healthy, but
I actually did something recently that I think is a little bit healthy in terms of social media and what's beneficial for me.
You going to tell us?
I mean, I figured it would come up during the discussion, but no, I deleted TikTok off my phone.
Really?
It gets so consuming. Like, I was saying to Tay the other day, I'm like, but I just went down a rabbit hole for 2 hours, which is unnecessary for me. So I deleted it off my phone. So it's only on my computer. So when I work, that's the only time that I'm going to see it.
Congratulations, young person. Congratulations. I need to be that way I did that. Manchester United, I deleted them, blocked them. Yeah, that was too stressful for my life. I need to do that for Axe now because the way they be popping up if this election stuff. Yeah. Anyway, we've got David Michael Wilson saying it's Thankful Thursday. Happy Grand Rising. And we want to say greetings to everyone and thanks for making us part of the daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Heather Lamb, the general manager of Bermuda Broadcasting, on the show. We're going to be discussing the evolving media landscape in Bermuda. And folks, it's a daily play today. It's going to be a name that place. And I don't have a question for Maya, so it's going to be very, very interesting. We'll see if she can get on this question. Are you good with geography? Name that.
No, I really know where things are in Bermuda. Like, come on now. I'm always, you gotta like tell me exactly what the color looks like. You know, the word. Give me a landmark. Don't tell me the word name. Like I'll be like, huh?
You need a landmark. Okay,
I need
here's
a landmark.
let's give you an early test. Give you an
Come on,
early.
don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
What parish is St. David's in?
St. George's. Don't do that to me. I was a little nervous, but that one was easy.
All right, I tried, folks. Hey, audience, do not forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Audience, next week, we'll be releasing this year's survey, right? It's much longer. It's a cool, but we have so many more prizes this year to give away for people. You'll be eligible to win some cool prizes. As you heard yesterday, we're going to be giving a year membership to Treehouse Yoga and Wellness. And we'll be giving away a lot more. So when you get this survey, should take you no more than 10 minutes of your time. And look, you watch this show for just over an hour a day. You can give us 10 more minutes. 10 minutes. The information that we receive from you is so helpful in helping us grow and just, we respond to your needs. I always tell people nothing that we do on this show is just because of me. Well, most of it's not because of me. It's because of the people around me and the ideas that we share and the things we come up with to ensure that you have a better and engaging show. Now, for today's topic, we're going to be discussing, how do you believe social media impacts Bermuda and Bermudians? How do you believe social media, and it's a very broad question, from politics to everyday living, you have these various social media groups, but how do you believe social media impacts Bermuda and Bermudians? How do you believe it impacts Bermuda and Bermudians? But Maya just shared her TikTok thing. What social media platform do you use most? Now, Maya, did you use TikTok the most?
Oh yeah, I definitely use TikTok the most, 100%. Because I can use it to like, what's really fun about it is like a lot of news is already put on there, right? So let's say if a long newscast comes out and I just go to TikTok and I type in what that was about, and maybe I'll find people's responses to it, how community members feel about it who live in that area. Like a lot with Hurricane Milton too, right? Like you saw the big reports that came out on TV on the local news, but then you go into TikTok and you see real life people actually living through it. So I think that's like one of the best uses of it. Again, I think platforms in general give people a say for themselves finally, and they don't have to rely on everyday media to pick up the story or care about what they care about in order to share it to the masses. We have this opportunity to share our own stories now. But that's going further into it. But yeah, TikTok is still my go-to.
Yeah, it's interesting because again, I got into Twitter late, right? And I got into X. Sorry, let me not get in trouble with Mr. Musk. But you get my point. I got into it really because of sports. Back then, Manchester United were actually winning, and I was a fan. I would follow the results because it was more instant, and it was not about pictures and video back then. It was really about just reading news, like, Manchester United up 2-0. If I didn't have access to watch the game, so that's how I got into Twitter. Then over time, I started getting my news from there because it was so instant, right? Like it was quick and instant, short, quick story. And then it changed. And I evolved to LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I really appreciate it because being a person in sales, it was a great way to network with potential clients and the like. And then obviously as an entrepreneur. So those are the platforms that I probably use most, LinkedIn and X. But I know Instagram's very popular. I just I never liked it because I think, and I've shared this before, I felt like Instagram was the most misleading social media platform there is. And what I mean by misleading is, and I'm gonna say this, it may offend some people, but the way that a young woman will put up a picture in a bathing suit and get like 500 likes, but if she put up a shirt, like let's say she stood up there in a suit trying to get you to purchase a book that's going to help women, she probably won't even get 50 likes. That bothers me. That bothers me about Instagram, because it's like this image thing, and it's the way that the reports have, there's been various reports, even in the court of law, and how it's impacted children. And I think Florida now has a law of ages that you can use it. But To each their own, and if you find good use, if you find it beneficial. I personally don't like Instagram as well from a business perspective because it's paid to play. But yeah, what social media platforms do you use, or audience? What do you use, and how do you believe social media impacts Bermuda and Bermudians? And when I speak about impact of Bermuda and Bermudians, I'm talking about the Magis list, right? I think I understand its purpose, but I'm not quite sure when you go on there and you speak about a bad experience, you're thinking about the overall picture. Share your experience with the business. Allow them the opportunity to handle it. But by you going straight to social media on these groups, you could be jeopardizing somebody's employment and the overall company's existence that may be helping people in your family and your community. The parking group, I mean, call the traffic warden or the police. I know people who've almost lost jobs because they've double parked for 2 seconds. Now, again, that annoys me too, but where's the level? So again, audience question, how do you believe social media has impacted Bermuda and Bermudians? Let's go to the audience and see what they're saying. We've got Michelle White says she uses LinkedIn and Facebook most.
Oh, wait, Facebook still holding in.
I wonder.
I use Facebook for birthdays.
I used to, but I don't get the updates anymore, man.
I have to genuinely look. I have to go to the page now and look because it doesn't even pop up as a notification anymore. Like so-and-so's birthday is coming up.
Really?
Yeah.
Audience, do you? I mean, I don't know. I don't. I think Facebook is, and I hate to use this term, but it's a necessary evil. Because I think that it's the easiest way to communicate on social media. I think it's the easiest way to communicate. For it's not hard to learn. I think it's probably ego satisfying as well. Satisfies the ego most as well. Yeah, because look, if you took someone who's on Facebook and they got like 50 likes on a post, and you put that same post on Twitter, nobody's gonna like it. They're gonna be hurt.
Yeah, but Twitter ain't really for pictures. You gotta be clever for Twitter. Twitter is for conversation.
Right. And
like
it's easier, right? To satisfy the ego.
Sure.
That's what it is. No,
your ego is based off of like wanting people to like your pictures. But some people's egos are fed off of like being really clever and smart though.
Yeah.
So
indeed. Well, I mean, I hope that's the case still, man. All right, audience. All right, let's get back to you. It's all about you. How do you believe social media impacts Bermuda and Bermudians, and what social media platforms do you use? How do you believe social media? I mean, even politics, man. Even from politics, like how does it impact Bermuda and Bermudians from a political perspective? Misha Fabler says it provides a public forum for people to interact and exchange ideas who wouldn't normally interact in real life.
That's true. That is one of the better benefits. That's if that other person actually responds back to that interaction. But yeah, that is one of the better benefits of it.
I love that about it. I think, and you did a story a couple of years ago after the 2020 election
Ghosted by government.
Yep, the ghosted by government. Yep, that story. And it basically shared how some politicians show up when an election's coming and then go missing and the like. I think some people use social media when it's advantageous, right? And I do think it's okay, right? Like I would rather my representatives be working for me and me feeling it versus having to engage. However, I'll use Jason Hayward as an example. He shares a lot on Twitter and LinkedIn, but he doesn't engage. And that to me is dismissive. That to me is not helpful for Bermuda and Bermudians. If you're gonna share stuff on social media, I would encourage them to engage. And I think that's part of their strategy. I think part of their strategy is share it, but don't engage them. And I think that's where they fail. Michael Dunkley, to his credit, was probably him and Dr. Ewart Brown were the best at engaging people. Whether you like them or not, they would engage you.
They respond.
Guarantee you, all those who are posting now and not engaging, some of them will likely engage when it's an election's called. I guarantee you. So my hope is that I think Don Burgess said it years ago. It's really, social media is not about what you post, likes, loves, follows. It's really about the engagement. Like, how are you able to get a community engaged in whatever's going on, right? To be fair, I think social media is whatever you want it to be. I don't think there's one generalization. People use it for different reasons. Some people use it to stay connected and engage with friends from college. I mean, for me, that's what has been helpful, seeing people's journeys. Some people use it as a soapbox. I'm a former soapboxer, yeah. Some people use it just as a form of entertainment. Some people use it to fulfill something that they don't or didn't have in their life.
I will say that when it comes to social media, and like I talk about this a lot, if you don't know, I do teach a lot of media literacy out here in Toronto to a bunch of young people, whether it be schools or club hubs or whatever. So I teach media lit. And a lot of things that we try to also put across is look at the first thing we get people to do, actually go on their phones, look at the hours that you're on your phone. What does that tell you about yourself? And then generate the idea of, okay, if you're on your phone for this long, what are you getting out of this? Are you learning a new skill? Are you making money off of it in some way? Like, how is this benefiting you at all? If it is just a few hours where you're just being relaxed and, enjoying life, cool. But at the same time, what conversations are you being engaged with? Like, it's about seeing what you're consuming, because sometimes you don't realize, like I said, how I was on TikTok for 2 hours just doom scrolling. And I realized, like, is this actually healthy? This is actually healthy. I think one of the benefits of social media, yes, they give people their own voice. Negatives of social media is that it's taking us away and distracting us from real world experiences. Yeah, our own reality, our own real world, so that we could be outside doing things, learning something with our friends, everything like that. And so, like, even feeding it into children, like, really, really young. And I probably said this since I was in high school, is that these devices, we learned how to control them ourselves. We learned how to control our parents. My mama did not teach me about how to use Instagram, how to use TikTok, none of that. So a lot of times parents don't know these things about what their children are getting into or what they're even posting or sending on social media. Like, they have no idea. So that's also another negative. And that's why people are putting in laws today.
So if you were your mother and you were like 14, 15, would you allow yourself to have social media?
No. I guess I would allow monitor social media. At least, like, you have to have me as a friend. Like, I have to be on there to see, like, what you're posting and things like that. That's about it. Like, I think I'll let myself have a phone and everything, but I would want to be able to monitor your stuff, because, like, people are creeps. Like, there are creeps around the world in your own hometown who are literally prying on, especially younger girls, especially at even 14, 15 when they get a new phone.
I wondered if that was a thing in Bermuda. I mean, I know we had that kid music guy did something on Facebook last year. He was like a music producer in Bermuda and was sending young girls threats or something. I know we had those cases, and that's definitely something that young people need to be protected from. Audience, how do you believe social media impacts Bermuda and Bermudians? Michelle White says Facebook helps to keep connected with people locally and overseas. I was able to find old university friends and stay connected. Yeah, it's been like that for me. It has been, honestly. That's what I love most about it. Renee Simmons says Facebook, Vimeo, LinkedIn. I use Facebook basically for interacting with groups or personal individuals. Vimeo for easy access to videos. Okay.
Let me get on my Vimeo more. Maybe I'm missing some.
We have to show up. We have to show up on Vimeo. Suzanne Egan says 100 Maya predators out there. What else, audience? How do you believe social media's impact on Bermuda and Bermudians? I'm shocked that there's no comments talking about, like, the mental state, because we were talking last week with psychologists last week about young people. I'm surprised we haven't spoken about Jonathan Smith, former senator in PLP. I remember when he came on the show back in 2020, I believe it was, and the question was asked of him, would he return or get back into politics? And he said he doesn't have the ego for it. And he basically said, you need ego in politics. And I feel like it's such a small community. I think, unfortunately, social media has had a detrimental impact, because I think we're all led by ego. Like, for instance, one of the examples I give is living in South Florida. I remember going down the A1A on a boat, right? Boat tours and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You see all these $1 million houses. And one of the first things people think when they see million and $1 billion houses is celebrities, right? They don't think Maya's probably wearing a shirt that says, I don't know what brand, but I don't know brands. Let's say Forever 21. That's a woman's brand, right? Or is that men too? I don't know, but you get my point, right?
Go on.
Express or Guess, whatever. We don't think about the CEOs of these companies. We don't think of the top execs. What's my point in saying that? These people don't have social media presence. These companies, some of these companies don't even take social media seriously. But these people live in comfortable, while so many people in small towns are so focused on satisfying an ego and fulfilling something they don't have, that social media actually has a detrimental impact on our overall well-being. Think about that, though. Some of the most successful people that you're trying to get to their level, they don't have social media presence. No, depending on what you do in life, social media is necessary. It's necessary. And again, I'll repeat, I think it's a necessary evil. But it can't be your base for everything, your barometer, is the point. Maya, I think it's time for Daily Hour News Break.
It is time for the Daily Hour News Break, indeed.
All right. We've got Heather Lamb coming up. We're going to be discussing the evolving state of media. And I saw a comment out there that I'm going to read before Heather comes on because I want to address it.
All right.
But let's get to the news break, folks.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour News Break brought to you by the great people at People's Pharmacy. So starting off early, before you leave your house, if you can, if you still have the time, try to put on something purple if this appeals to you. Purple Thursday, call to action to wear purple and show support for domestic abuse legal reform in 2023. Advocate Tammy L. Richardson Augustus held the inaugural observation of Purple Thursday by staging an empty chair at Crow Lane Roundabout and at City Hall. The exhibit was a sobering visual to honor and remember victims who lost their lives and to raise awareness of survivors who too often suffer unseen. So today is a day where if this, but like you can try to wear some purple before you get out there to show support.
Why did you tell me yesterday?
The email came in very, very late actually, and I didn't know, but I tried to remind you this morning.
Purple drink, folks. Purple drink. I gotta represent, man. I got purple lights too. You can probably see.
Well, if you're about to leave the house, just change your shirt, I'd say.
Okay.
In a little bit of sadder news here on the island, yesterday there was a two-vehicle road traffic collision involving a motor car and a motorcycle in the area of Barnes Corner, Southampton Parish. Now, the female motorcycle rider was injured in the collision, but that is all the update that we have at this present moment in what indicates this incident.
Yeah, very sad. I'm wishing the individuals a speedy recovery, but I think we haven't had the conversation since yourself and Teo reported that Operation Vega has not really seen a change in behaviors, and we're going to have that discussion next week, folks. So it's important that we have those discussions, especially with us all being on the roads at some point during the day.
Yeah, I think it hit me the other day when I was looking back over that report that Teo said about how it's about 4 to 6 collisions reported daily, and I was going through the Daily Hour socials, and I realized that that is something that I actually reported almost 6 months or something ago to a year ago. That same figure. So I was like, yes, there has not been a change in those predicaments, unfortunately. Now, here's some more, I guess, happier news and good news on the people of Bermuda who are actually trying to get out there and like get a program finished. But 34 persons have actually successfully obtained their heavy truck driver's licenses through the government's heavy truck driver license training program. You might recall this is something that was actually needed, but the Minister of Economy and Labor, Jason Hayward, said that this initiative directly addresses the urgent need for qualified and experienced heavy truck drivers in our local workforce while enhancing and employing skilled Bermudians in trucking industry. So from this, another thing was able to happen with just potential employers and expanding the job prospects for supporting transition. So a lot of these people got linked up with different jobs that they could actually be a part of due to their new licenses.
Congratulations to them. I wonder what the need was in terms of like, was there a lack of opportunities for Bermudians in there? A lack of Bermudians in that space and a need? Like, I do wonder those numbers.
Yeah, indeed. Because I remember reporting on it. They're saying that this is something that they're going to have. I didn't realize that so many people would actually be taking part, because 34 is a pretty high number for a couple of programs that we normally report here for government passing programs. Almost like maybe 18, 16, 12, but 34, pretty high number.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, in other news, the Ministry of Public Works is using their allocated funds from the mid-year budget review of $3,465,000 to fund several projects across the island. And so what it looks like, the bulk of the funding, which is just over about $2.8 million, is going toward capital projects. Now, I listed all some of these in this video. Take a look. We're going to talk about it briefly. And I want you to see if anything there was mentioned that you want it to be fixed, or if there's something that you think should be recommended in fixing. So let's take a look. So in this grant, giant bulk of 2.8 million, we got 400,000 to repair several public docks, including Mangrove Bay Dock and Sands, Ports Island Dock, Hill Swimming Facility, and the Prison Farm Jetty. You got 1 million going to private sector road paving, which I reported here on the show earlier this week, 100,000 to install additional streetlights on private roads, 150,000 to purchase new highway-grade aluminum guardrails. Now, this is particularly in the intersection by the courts, the JGW tennis courts, where all the students normally pass in that intersection. Then you got $80,000 to purchase 10 sets of new flashing pedestrian beacons, 180,000 to repair sidewalks and install steel fencing, another 80,000 toward updating and installing fencing around parks, 250,000 to replace old playgrounds equipment, including the ones at Shelley Bay, Somerset Long Bay, and Warwick Long Bay. And then the last two here is 175,000 at Horseshoe Bay Beach for the lifeguard tower and changing rooms that need replacing. You might recall that I did a about that, the bathrooms that need to be updated as well. And then you got 450,000 for Bermuda Housing Corporation development programs.
What is electioneering for 1,000, Maya? That's what it's like to me. I mean, I do have a question about private roads and the lights. Like, how do they deem which private roads got what lights? I'd like to know that.
That's I'm assuming that it would be through the portal of the potholes.gov.bm, because I think that's where people also, any road issues, I think they go there. I know it has to do with paving, but it also has to do with like the over draining systems as well. Lights, I have to double check on that, but I know that he said that they're going to prioritize what was necessarily most needed in the community. So if you sent an issue in, I'm sure the top issues are the ones that are going to be the ones that they focus on.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you may have heard it, but the premier also remarked on how the government is on track to a balanced budget. Let's hear what he said in the House.
In February, in this honorable House, this government tabled a budget that was projected to deliver Bermuda's first balanced budget in 21 years. Today, I am humbled to announce that despite a $10 million reduction in energy taxes to assist Bermudians, combined with a $25 million additional investment package focused on social investment, this government is not just on track to deliver a balanced budget this year. The most recent estimates from the Ministry of Finance indicate that the budget surplus is now projected to increase to $4 million.
No comment.
All right, so you heard it there. While in talks of just money allocations, the OBA Senator Dr. Douglas Zacuto actually recently posted that he feels there's a lack of transparency from the PLP government in regards to which MPs are receiving extra pay. So in the post, this is what it reads.
The government has once again failed to provide full transparency regarding MP and senators receiving compensation beyond their parliamentary salaries. He listed off 3 names within the PLP ministry: Jashay Adams, Jamal Simmons, and the former Attorney General's husband, Myron Simmons. Douglas Zacuto went on to say the public deserves to know how these positions were awarded and what criteria were applied. The government's refusal to answer these questions is yet another example of its unwillingness to provide accountability to the people it claims to serve. End quote.
Here's the thing. I guess my question with that is this in addition to their MP salary? That's my question.
Yes. In terms, he says that they have gotten different jobs within the ministry, and then have it. That's why I was saying like they need to ask like how did they receive these jobs.
It explains so much. It explains so much. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, in our sports-related news, you got to give a big up to Bermuda's volleyball team right now because today, actually, they will be headed off to play in the 2024 ECVA Senior Women's Championship. Now, their travels will go to Antigua, led by head coach Sheila Ray and assistant coach Kayla Grant. There you see the team right there for Bermuda on the screen, and beside it you could actually see where you could tune in, tap in, and watch them play. 6 teams have confirmed their participation. You got the reigning champions St. Lucia, and then as well as Team Bermuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, and Grenada will join with hosts Antigua and Bermuda in this battle for the championship trophy. So good luck to Team Bermuda out there, and hopefully they do their best.
You know how I say we're all ignorant to something, like none of us knows everything, right? Mm-hmm. Well, seeing that picture just now reminded me of when I was working at a country radio station back in 2006, and it was the World Cup. And they had me explaining that like football, like soccer they call it, has positions, like they didn't understand it, right? And I looked just now at that rugby picture. I'm like, not rugby, volleyball. And I'm like, oh, there's a setter and an outside hitter, and okay.
Yeah, that's ignorant.
We're all... I knew people had specialty. You had the server, right? But folks, we learn something new every day.
Definitely. Now you're gonna tell me you don't think netball has positions.
Well, no, I get netball. Mama played netball. My niece plays netball. I just didn't know certain rules. So my sister said to me earlier this year, they can't do that shot. I said, oh, okay, sorry.
Well, here's some happy news just to close it up for our newsbreak today. But we got the Christmas parade, the Marketplace Christmas parade that will take place and will be held on Sunday, December the 1st. So you can mark it in your calendars, guys. December the 1st, Christmas parade in Bermuda. Looking like we're really heading close to those dates already. I can't believe it's already October, mid-October at that.
Okay, yeah, well, we're getting there. You got a daily inspiration or?
Yes, looking at the weather first, it's going to be mostly cloudy today, a few showers as well. So just, beware of that. It's going to be high gust of winds. We got a high of 80, but a low of 73. So it's going to be cold and very nippy tonight. So let's, be wary for that.
Cool front this time, folks. All right, what's the days of the year?
Days of the year, there's 3 days that I really wanted to talk about. It's Black Poetry Day. It's also Harry Potter Book Day and National Mulligan Day. Which one do you want to hear?
What's a mulligan?
Mulligan Day, inspired by golf's do-over stroke, celebrate Mulligan Day with second chances. So it's simply, you could either enjoy a round of golf, or you could actually try to take a second chance at something else and see what happens.
Interesting. Well, I also want to focus on something which impacts us every day. It impacts the way we live, how we're able to survive. It's Conflict Resolution Day. And conflicts are the world over change the way, whether it's the impact on shipping, goods, products, services. And I ask the audience and ask yourself, none of us is perfect. Even the happiest of person may have something they're dealing with. But what conflict would you like to see resolved in the world today? What conflict would you like to see resolved in the world today? Audience, let us know. Maya, you got one?
I mean, everything that's happening with Gaza right now in Palestine, I would love to see that conflict be resolved. There's still a lot with Congo as well. Yep. Sudan. I feel like we could all just start on the base level of let's just try not to be violent and kill each other. Mm-hmm. Let's start on that base level. But no, it's so much deeper, so much harder than that. But yeah, there's a conflict I would love to see resolved in the world.
All right. Suzanne Ingham says war. Michelle White says war. Gaza. Again, keep it coming, audience. Let us know what conflict would you like to see resolved in the world. I don't disagree. I don't think adults should have to go to war. But hey, the terms being used now.
Children go into war.
Land was not stolen. The language they're using, it wasn't stolen. It was conquered. We'll be back after this break.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. Peoples, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Novazok Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. My Palacio. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Windows, and People's Pharmacy. Do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Before we went to break, we did ask people, it's Conflict Resolution Day, what world conflict would you like to see resolved? Lisa Lister Reed said the illegal occupation of stolen lands. Polly Rich says issues in Haiti. Kira PDA says the war of conflict within each individual. Once that's done, the conflicts around the world will reduce by a lot. It starts within. Thank you for that. Without further ado, let's give a warm TH welcome to our guest for the day. We have the general manager of Bermuda Broadcasting Company. Let's give her the applause she deserves. Heather Lynn.
Good morning.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm well, Jamel. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm surviving. I'm alive.
Good. It's good to see you, Maya.
Good to see you, Heather.
Why are you cheesing so much, man? Gee.
It's good to have women in media on the show. Like, it makes me happy.
Gee, I don't see her smile this much, Heather. Gee. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us. This
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Is necessary, in my opinion, especially in the age of new media and the internet, where everyone's a journalist at this point. We share things and it becomes news all of a sudden. But before we get into the conversation about media in particular, just tell the audience, and it becomes news all of a sudden. But before we get into the conversation about media, that's over on my end. All right. Just tell the audience a bit about your background and your journey.
Sure. Well, again, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning, Jamel and Maya. So thank you for having me. I recently took on the post of general manager here at Bermuda Broadcasting a little over 6 months ago. I've been associated with Bermuda Broadcasting for over 3 years now, going close to 4. I started out here as their head of sales, media sales, so advertising sales, particularly for television and radio. I know we're going to touch into perhaps the advertising landscape during our discussion this morning. But previous to that, I enjoyed a fabulous career in the hospitality industry. It was a long career. It was double digits. And it started off at the Fairmont Hamilton Princess, where I was a Fairmont Gold concierge and worked my way all the way up to Fairmont Gold manager. So obviously very customer focused. Moved over to DC with Fairmont and enjoyed an international experience in hospitality, both in DC, UK, Italy, and Aspen, Colorado. Moved back to Bermuda, started a family, Have three wonderful teenage sons who, oh boy, you want to talk about the media landscape with them. It's an interesting perspective. And then realized hospitality was hard with motherhood. And not that it can't be done, but it was a challenge with three boys, and decided to switch careers and but still very customer focused. I ended up in the banking industry and did finance for close to 5 years, and worked with Clarion Bank as their commercial banking business development manager. So that was super fun. And then, yeah, and then it led me into broadcasting after that.
I think you landed in a perfect place. We need people.
Oh, thank you.
And just for transparency, Heather and I met when I was working in the tourism space, and one of the best personalities representing Bermuda's hotels I've ever come across. And when people say, "Oh, no locals," she was definitely a local at the front. And I think the industry is no greater because of her loss to media. But I'm glad that we do have you in this space. So
Thank you.
no problem. But let's speak about media today. Obviously, you had said your sons would have a lot to say, but what do you think in your role? First, obviously starting in the sales space, but now being the GM of the overall company. What do you think are the biggest challenges the media industry faces, especially in Bermuda, as it relates to 2024?
Well, I think we are finding that we're in a transition role in media. We are very much changing from a traditional media landscape, which is your television and your radio, and now we see the advent, the rise of digital platforms. So, what does that mean? That means that digital platforms are usurping. Uh, the opportunity for people to consume their content. And so that is your streaming services, that will be your social media, that'll be on demand services. And essentially, I think we're in a climate whereby we can't be prescriptive to customers or listeners or viewers as to when that content is available. They want it when they want it. And we are finding that we have to now meet that customer where they're at and provide them with that information as they deem to see it as important to them. And so it's an interesting place to be because our business model has always been so heavily based on a traditional linear television model as well as radio. And I think, I'm going to park radio for a minute because radio, I think, is extremely important and still very relevant, particularly in Bermuda. Everybody in the morning, pretty much, when they get into their car, is going to be listening to radio on some station, some local station somehow. Yes, there is the possibility that their phones may be switched on to a Spotify, and then boom, Bluetooth kicks in the newer cars. And so you may lose that local radio context, but people are still very connected with our radio personalities and our radio announcers, regardless if they're on Ocean, Power, Hot, whatever. They have their favorites, whether it's Rusty. Everybody has the person that they're connected to, that they resonate with. And so I think radio still very much plays an important part in the Bermuda media landscape. And there's tremendous value, and people can correlate their business sales with something that they've done with respect to either a radio interview or an advertising campaign that they've run on the actual radio station. I think where the landscape is changing in radio is that we have the opportunity now with bringing in cameras into the station, for example. We want to, people are more inclined to want to see the engagement that is actually happening in the studio. So, yes, there's the podcasting model that is, I think, very important and is something that we need to do. But also, as far as the radio is concerned, people want to be able to stream it and have it on their desktop or on their phone to be able to engage in it even more.
Indeed.
TV, however, I think is an interesting place for us. You know, it's hard. People want data-driven analytics
Yeah,
when it
exactly.
comes
We're
to
gonna get to all of that.
Yeah.
yeah. People want data-driven analytics
Yeah.
to justify their existence and
Yeah.
spend on the television, and it's a
Yeah.
very hard thing to
Yeah.
do. It's a very hard thing to do.
Exactly. So let's talk a little bit just about like not really a data, but still like analytics and what is usually used that for media. So how is media broadcasting kind of adapting to stay relevant in a social media like sort of world and this new media driven world?
Yep. So that's a great question, Maya. So I think right now Bermuda Broadcasting is in a unique position because it's kind of in the stages of reinventing itself. We recognize that there is still a need for traditional linear TV. And that need is that we have not only a responsibility locally, but nationally as the national broadcaster to provide, you know, trust and credible news every single day. And so that's very important. And we're able to leverage our newscast both not only on television, where we still have a number of people who are watching, but we also have it on our website and we also stream it on Facebook. And so people can go back and watch it on our website, go back and watch it on Facebook. However, we know that we need to be doing more in the digital landscape space, and that is our full intention to do so. And that's the direction that the company wants to go in. It doesn't negate the fact, though, that television is still important because there is a demographic on this island that isn't reliant on digital platforms and therefore still needs that content to be provided to them on the television. Now, how do we stay relevant? Well, I think, you know, we have to move with the times. We have to meet the viewer where they are. And the viewer is now watching their content on a screen. So I can say what I've been pounding on my head against the wall with is saying to everybody that, you know, we're no longer in the TV business, we're in the screen business. So we actually need to change our business model somewhat to be able to drive being in that screen business. So what does that mean? That means that all of our content needs to be online. It has to be web-based. It could mean that we develop an app that people would be able to get our content through an app. So yes, it's our news. Yes, it's our sports. We also recognize that live events are very important, especially to the Bermuda community. You look at May 24th, you look at Cup Match, you look at the Eastern counties. We televise those big marquee events for Bermuda, and we did very, very well. However, the success of what we also did is that we had it online through our website, and people really appreciated the value of that. And so you're going to start seeing a shift, I think, over the coming year. To be fair, these things don't change overnight. We're taking a legacy broadcasting company that's been around for 80 plus years to all of a sudden to think about doing business in a very
In a
different
different
way.
way. Yeah. So let's talk about these shifts even more because Jamal and I know we went to the broadcasting convention. There was a lot of talk about AI. So let's talk about that role. Like, how does AI play in the future of news production and reporting? And do you feel yourself that it enhances or does it threaten the traditional authentic media?
I have to say that technology, so let's talk about AI. It is a game changer in this space. It absolutely is going to revolutionize the workflow and the ability to produce compelling content in multiple different ways. So let's take, for example, automation, right? Automation is important with respect to expediency into the marketplace. It's important that we have a diverse and compelling way that we're delivering content that is actually potentially AI driven. You have different AI applications that are out in the marketplace now that if Maya, you're going out to shoot a particular story and you come back and you want to use AI editing tools to do so, and then leverage that particular piece on multiple different platforms, there's the ability to do that. And so you can actually maximize that particular, what I would say is that asset, to be able to use it in different ways to capture different audience members. You could then add closed captions to it. You can add logos to it. You can add music to it. And then you can push it out onto a platform that pushes it out to multiple platforms at different times to different audiences. And what's great about that is that when you get that data back, you then have something to talk about with your potential advertising customer to say, here's the value of where you need to be.
So it seems like maybe Bermuda Broadcasting doesn't even notice or see AI as a threat, which I guess in most senses probably good. But like, how, if it was though, how do you deliver?
I don't think you can rely on AI entirely. I think there still has to be an oversight. I think there has to be, I mean, you and I could probably download a particular AI software platform that says, okay, take this particular script, let's cut it up and let's add some summary to it, and then we can post it on the website. If you're not fact checking that, if you're not verifying that, if you're saying, okay, Maya is actually spelled Maya, but then we go ahead and change it to Maii, or A at the end, we've lost credibility in our ability to deliver what we should be delivering, for example. And I know that's a simple example, but there has to be involvement still and oversight, whether it be through the news team, the production team, to make sure that it's fact checked appropriately, and that the content still has the integrity of the intent.
So switching over a little bit, in the US, there was always like Nielsen ratings. Now we have social media analytics. How has the impact ad revenue in Bermuda, and how has BBC finding new ways to grow?
Yeah, that's interesting. So in Bermuda, we don't prescribe to Nielsen ratings. We don't have access to Nielsen ratings in Bermuda. What's interesting is that a lot of people are moving away from Nielsen ratings in the US as well. It's not as heavily weighted as it once used to be. And a lot of that is because of the web and the online analytic tools that are out there that people are more reliant on. So how would Bermuda Broadcasting be looking to change that? Well, again, our shift in our focus now needs to be a very digitally focused model. So when we think about how we're going to sell our advertising, we know advertising revenue continues to go down. And the reason is because people want to understand how many people watch their ad. They want to understand, if my ad is after The Young and the Restless, for example, how many people were watching Young and the Restless? Is that the right time for me to place my ad? It's very difficult to tell because we have no way of knowing unless we do an independent survey. We did an independent survey not too long ago, and yes, there were no surprises. We know that between 6 and 8 at night, that's going to be the primary time that people are sitting and watching the TV. However, you talk to anybody under the age of 40, how many of them have TVs? How many of them are sitting at home at 7 o'clock to watch the evening news? They're not. We have a broad demographic that we need to cater to. And it's interesting, you talked about TikTok earlier. I look at some of our Gen Z associates here at the Bermuda Broadcasting, and they get their content just like you do from TikTok. And so it's interesting, whereas here I am, and Jamal, you and I are a little bit older. Our content comes from a number of different sources, but it's about making sure that it's the right information, right? So we do need to shift, and we are in the process of shifting. And so TV will always have a place, radio session will always have a place, but now we're going to need to complement that. We need a more robust digital platform to be able to showcase to our audience members, whether they're watching or listening, that they can get their content online?
I think, Heather, I appreciate that. But one of the challenges I have, and I think the mindset needs to shift not on our end, and I say that respectfully. I think the mindset needs to shift on the marketing people's end. And I'll tell you why, and I have these meetings regularly. In a small town, look at it like this here. Most Bermudians, if they took a job, the same position that they're doing in Bermuda, elsewhere, they'll likely get paid more, right? They'll likely get paid less. Sorry. If you took most Bermudians in the jobs they're in Bermuda and they went some small town in the US, they're likely going to be paid way less. Canada, that's just the way the economy works. This media is the one space where you could probably leave Bermuda and make more money. And I'm going to tell you what the problem to me is. The problem is that a standard was set so long ago and no one addressed it. And that standard is, I cannot stand when people come and ask, well, how many people watch or how many people tune in? Because I've sat in a meeting with someone, CEO of a company, and they were spending on YouTube. So I said, how are you spending on YouTube? You're sending your money out of the economy, right? That's the first thing. You're not, you sit up on Bermuda Broadcasting News and you speak about what this great work you're doing for the community. The first thing you need to do is keep your money in the community. We can't just tell locals to do that. The second problem is stop focusing on quantity and focus on the quality. The quantity is never going to be what you're going to get even in a small town in the US. But the quality, what I mean by that is that person has the spending power that maybe 100,000 people don't. Right? So I think the mindset needs to shift. I remember a company, very popular company in Bermuda when I was doing sales at Internal Communications saying to me, oh, well, we don't need to advertise. And years later, that company lost one of their biggest contracts because the attitude for so long is we don't need to advertise or, well, how many people are tuned in? That's not what should matter in Bermuda. What should matter is the quality of people who are tuned in. Because I can tell you what, those people who are tuned into the Young and the Restless and the news, they'll probably likely have more spending power than the TikToker.
I think, and I think your point is very valid, Jamel. I think as well, though, is that we need to be doing more locally, right? So we recognize, I've certainly in the short time that I've been with Bermuda Broadcasting have recognized now that anything local that we can be involved in is where people are going to want to align themselves with us for. So again, May 24th, those events that we showcase have sponsorship opportunities. Again, that is selling advertising in a very different way, right? But essentially, you're marking your spot as a sponsor. And aligning your vision as a company with the objectives of what that event is about. And I think if people recognize that, though that is a great way to connect the community and connect the community in a very compelling way and a meaningful way, and then we can air it free to air to everybody as well as putting it on the website. That is what the power of media does in a local Bermuda community.
I think the businesses need to understand you're not going to get Super Bowl or UEFA Champions League numbers in Bermuda, whether it's Cup Match, County Game, Bermuda Day. And what they have to understand is the quality of the person that Bermuda Broadcasting is reaching through these the local content versus the quantity. And I think that's the challenge that we have is they are looking at, and I say this respectfully, they are looking at the analytics wrongly because it's the norm. And Bermuda's not the United States. We're not Canada. We're not the UK. We don't have those numbers. But what we are is if we believe in the hype that there's a lot of money in Bermuda, and I'm not talking about businesses, but there's a lot of people who have spending power in Bermuda, then we should address it as so. So that's my only point. And audience, we'll get to your questions and comments. I see you coming through with some questions, and Heather and I have discussed some of this before, so I'm sure she'll be open to answer. But go ahead, Maya. Sorry.
Yeah, so let's talk about journalism and bring that into perspective, because it seems there's a shortage of Bermudians in media, especially Bermuda journalists specifically. So what do we need to do to like encourage more people to choose a career in broadcasting and media?
That's my biggest challenge right now, Maya, is finding people. It's very, very difficult. So yeah, we have a shortage of reporters. Gosh, I don't know if anybody's seen, but we're looking for a reporter here at Bermuda Broadcasting. But I think at one time there was an opportunity to pursue journalism, or there was a course at the Bermuda College. I don't believe that there isn't that course anymore. So, I think if we had the resources and the ability to showcase this profession locally, it would attract people to go along that route. I think also we as media companies, or certainly Bermuda Broadcasting, up until recently, it's almost been sort of like, oh, it's a secret society. We're over here, and it's hard to get in, sort of thing. That's not the case. I think there's a little journalist in every single one of us. If we have a phone, we can capture content, and if you're a person, as we were talking about egos a little bit earlier, and you get in front of a camera, and even if you're doing a short video of some kind about a topic that you enjoy, there's an opportunity to expand that if you wanted to, with respect to pursuing it as a career. I love the fact that many of the high schools in Bermuda are starting to engage in a media discipline in some of their course offerings. I think we need to carry that through into the higher tertiary opportunities locally as well. But we need to encourage Bermudians who are overseas to come back and say, hey, come and do an internship, come and have a conversation with us. I think we just need to be open and sharing with people and individuals that, hey, we're here to help you and support you, because we need those people in this space.
Indeed. I want to go to the audience a bit. I agree with you. It's nothing like seeing Bermudians in this space, but I think it all goes back to even the conversation about just getting people to financially support the industry, so that people can see it as a worthwhile career, right? But we do have this question that's come up. I'll ask a few. Mark LTC Phillips saying, forgive me if this question was already asked, but will the evening news be coming back to YouTube? And Charles H. Jeffs II says, can you please stream on YouTube instead of Facebook? We've had the conversation.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
So I tell you, you can watch the news every night on bbc.bm. So that is Bermuda Broadcasting's website, and we would be happy to have you come join us on our website, or you can watch it on Facebook. We currently do not have a YouTube channel. However, we are looking at what we're going to be doing with respect to YouTube in the coming months. But at the moment, we certainly can offer you our nightly news, and you can watch it on replay anytime you want at bbc.bm.
All right. And I just want to add to that, Heather, because, we've talked, and, last year, I think it was when Maya and we attended the NAB show, the Broadcasting Conference. One of the biggest things was about controlling your own content. And I think, getting people to understand that is one of our struggles, right? Is getting people to your website, getting them on your platforms. That should be the key. Social media is important. But as I say to our team all the time, it can't be our everything. You want to make sure that people know if they ever need to see something, it's not going to get lost in the algorithm because it's on your platform. So I appreciate that answer. Charles H. Jeffs II asking, with Bermuda being such a small community, would it make sense to partner with some of the independent media outlets?
Love partnership. Love it. Absolutely. So we have a unique opportunity at Bermuda Broadcasting. We have the platform to be able to reach broad audiences at 24 hours a day. And so with that, we would welcome the opportunity to work with content creators. We would love, oh, thanks, Corlita. Essentially, we want to work with content creators that would like to partner up or work with us so that we can leverage our platforms and our reach to help share their messaging. It's there are guidelines, of course. There is broadcasting regulation, of course. However, Bermuda Broadcasting is also not a huge production house. We don't have a massive room or a massive group of people here who sit all day filming and create content. Our number one purpose at the moment is to provide the nightly news. It also is to run the 3 radio stations that we currently have under our remit. We are the affiliate stations for CBS and ABC, and we do run their programming feeds on Channel 7, Channel 9. And that is currently what we're doing, as well as starting to develop our more digital platform that we hope to have in 2025. So stay tuned for that.
Alrighty, audience, if you have any more questions or comments, please send them through. We've spoken a lot about local content. Bermuda's starved for quality local content. I think we can all agree on that. I'm encouraged by what I see you guys doing, especially with the Eastern counties.
Thank you. That was a first.
But no, seriously, that was great, especially since my team's got cut. But
so there's more of that to come, right? So I think really what we want is the vision of Bermuda Broadcasting to really embrace this concept of connecting the community, right? And it's not just about us creating the content that we think everybody in Bermuda wants to hear or see. It's, being visible where the community is and sharing that and reaching that to people who can't possibly get there. There's a huge community outside of Bermuda that doesn't live here anymore who still wants to stay connected. How are they staying connected? They're staying connected digitally. They can't tap into our TV system. So we're going to make sure that we have the opportunity to showcase that in a more digital, meaningful way. For example, the National Trust in December, we're going to be actually doing a live newscast and a live show right down from St. George's for the Bermuda National Trust walkabout at Christmas time. That's going to be a first time ever. We're actually going to do our news right from St. George's above the town square. So we're really excited about that.
Nice. I love that. Another question from the audience. Charles has got all the questions from the audience. Why are you letting Charles bully you with questions?
I love Charles. Hi, Charles.
Yes, there have been some technical issues over the last few years at BBC. I know that requires a financial investment, but that's a must to remain competitive and credible. When can we expect to see that?
Yes, absolutely, Charles. You're right. So, like I mentioned earlier, we've been around for a very long time. Hate to say it, but probably some of our equipment has as well. We are in the process of doing upgrades throughout the entire organization, everything from radio, everything from our traffic systems to our workflow systems. And the next phase of what we're doing with respect to technical upgrades is actually for television. So stay tuned. Yes, we appreciate and understand that it can be very frustrating. Trust me, I'm at home every night watching the news if I'm not here. And sometimes, I too get frustrated. But bear with us. We're working on those issues, and you should see an improvement, I would say, in the coming months.
Heather, and Maya had this question, but I want to ask it now. From starting in the sales space now to overseeing the entire company, what have you learned most about this space that's like really intrigued you?
What have I learned most? I think really is that we have a unique opportunity at Bermuda Broadcasting. I keep saying connecting the community, but we really have a duty, I think, as both local and national broadcaster. The thing I've also learned is that we could be working smarter, not harder. We create every day, our newsroom goes out and works very, very hard, working very long hours to produce the nightly news or the monthly shows. Ian works very hard with Inside Sports Magazine. it's how we don't want to just have a one and done with that piece of content. I think what I've learned certainly in a short amount of time in 6 months is that we've got to take that piece of content and we've got to multi-use it in so many different ways. And so there are tools and technologies that will allow us to do that. And that's a sort of a very exciting thing to do because that's not something that we've ever done before. We usually shoot, we edit a video, we add in our our logos, we add in our bumpers, we do what we need to do with the lower thirds, and then we throw it up on the newscast, and then that's it. Um, Now we can take that content and we can use it in multiple different ways, and that's the exciting piece of the puzzle that will help us reach more people across varying demographics. And so we're excited about that.
Indeed. This is helpful, and I appreciate it. I think we work in a very interesting space. You know, it's I guess it's about maintaining the interest of the local community.
Well, I think engagement is important, and we
Yeah.
haven't really touched much on that, but I would say that, um, it seems to be historically and even now, the communication is one way. We're giving it to you, and we haven't had much on the reverse end. I would say that when we have this conversation next time, or hopefully this time next year or in 6 months' time, there is a little bit there is a change and a shift with engagement because I think we can only be as good as how we respond to people who are watching or listening to us, right? And so engagement is, I think, key to our success. So whether it be radio engagement, whether it be through podcasting or website, there has to be more two-way conversations had.
And engagement has changed so much over the years, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed, and this is not a criticism to anyone, is when I was coming up, engagement was really, I'll use Elroy Smith. He done something that was incredibly rare, which was keep a station number one in a market as large as Chicago, which is the third largest market in the U.S. That's unheard of. But the way he did it was his personality is once the show was over, you were in the community. It wasn't sitting back in the studio. The people had to know who you were because at that time, people just heard your voice. That was a time where you're going to see their face and know who they are. So they got to know the personalities. Engagements changed. And I think because of social media, it's become a bit different. Like as if people feel like, well, I'm on social media, I don't have to be out there. Nah, you still have to. They have to know you're real. Like again, I'm not saying they're going to think you're AI, but because it's become easier with the social media platforms, there's still a need to be out in the community amongst people. And I think I'm going to call a name. I think Katrina O'Connor Painter, All Girl, has probably been the best I've seen in Bermuda at doing that. Like she said, you know what? I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna take this event. I'm gonna do that. Like, and again, it's not. She's engaging people. She's not a DJ. She's not out there spinning records and doesn't mic. She's literally engaging children, engaging adults, elderly people. And I no shade to anyone, but everyone in media kind of needs to do that. Whether you're a journalist, whether you're a radio DJ, broadcaster, myself, that's the way that the industry has changed. And I don't know if everyone understands those expectations now, Heather.
You're right. And that actually kind of leads me to thinking about, is this the new wave of influencer, right? So you look at who our news reporters are at Bermuda Broadcasting, and you see Gary Foster Skelton, you see Jasmine Patterson, you see Gray Miners, you see Elisa Bernardo, you see Cooper Stevenson, and you see them on TV, you hear them on the radio, and then all of a sudden you realize that they are somebody that you trust, that you believe, but also we need to start sending them out to community events. We need to start sending them out to places whereby people can connect with them on a real sort of almost grassroots level, right? So it's not just that they're reporting the news. I think, Maya, you do a great job of that as well. You go out and you're actually connecting with the community. You're just not reporting on the community. And I think that is where it's almost a slightly influencer type role, I would argue.
Yeah, I agree. Maya, go ahead. You want to add something?
Maya's an
I
influencer.
I want to add something because when I interned, actually, if people don't know, I actually interned at Bermuda Broadcasting my last year of university, so that was 2019. I had to do it for credit for school, but then I ended up staying on for 3 months later. And I can say, Heather, if you were there, things probably would have been different because when I was there, I remember I implemented their Instagram. I said that we needed to like do this, that, and the other. I talked about how the hosts needed to have their own, personal, private, profiles. People get to know them individually. That they need to go out. Like all these things that you're saying now, I was like very
Where
much
was I,
pushing
right?
for. Where were you in 2019? But like, and now things have changed. Like people didn't really trust social media like that as well. They didn't think that it was as credible back then or as reliable, and they didn't want to like throw shade on like news reporters. But that was like things that were talked about. Now we're thinking about actually putting these into practice. And even whenever Jamal and I are home, and I know this, we try to get out there. Like I'm at a cafe all the time doing work.
Get out there, correct that. She makes me. I don't want to get out there.
I was like, we gotta connect. But yeah, it's just like, but like you said, Patrina, that's so her personality. I mean, even the work she does on a regular basis with Big Brothers Big Sisters, like it also has to be a part of your personality. You can't just drag people out like to try to like be disingenuous, So like it is a lot. It's a lot to do within the space now that is necessary and needed for a reporter or broadcaster, someone that's out there, yes, trusting them, but also seeing them on a daily basis also just instills that trust a lot more.
Yeah,
regular people. It humanizes us like a lot because sometimes people.
It does.
Yeah.
Keeval does a lot of live remotes. Chrissy does a lot of live remotes for us as well. We're getting into that space a lot more. So, for example, whether it be a local retailer or a local event that's happening, we've been invited to come along, do a live remote event. But then we're in the crowds. We're interviewing people. We're not just talking to the sponsors. We're not just talking to the event organizer. We're talking to the people who are actually experiencing that event and saying, okay, what are your thoughts? Do you think they need to do it again next year? Would you do it? What do you like? What don't you like? And again, this is all live. This is all happening right on the radio. And I think the power of that is immense. So it's exciting. I mean, when we had Christy come out for Eastern Counties, it was amazing because all of a sudden, Christy, Miss Thing, she is a phenomenal personality on Power 95. She does a tremendous job. And then when we had her live in person, in action, in front of a camera with Ian Rollins at the Eastern Counties down in St. David's, I mean, the reaction was immense. And it was like, we need to do more of that. People need to know that you're human.
Yeah, indeed. Absolutely. They want to know more. Renee Simmons.
Oh boy.
Do you see BBC broadcasting more events overseas? Examples, sports events Bermuda is involved in. Interesting.
I love that. Yeah, I guess, we need to explore that. I am not a person that ever says no off the bat. So I would say I need to do my homework and my research. Media rights for sports rights are very expensive. I'm not going to hide behind the fact that, sure, we would love to do that. These things all come at an enormous cost. And at the end of the day, we are a small Bermuda business like many others. And so we just have to make sure that the numbers work.
Yeah, indeed.
And it could be that, is it fit for web as opposed to fit for TV? Who knows? It depends on what the event is.
David Michael Wilson's asking, if an app were created, would there be different segments, so as offshoots of other sports newsroom?
Yes.
Okay, simple question. I was going to mention this when you were speaking about your personalities and journalists being out. Rick Olson says, love that Gary entertains at the Hog Penny on a regular basis. Check him out. So I want to talk more about Gary Foster-Skelton. I want to touch on him because
news reporter for Best of Bermuda last year. So we're very proud. And Christy got top radio announcer. But yeah, Gary's been awesome.
And I'm going to use him as an example because he stands out. He's one who recognized that media landscape was changing and said, I'm going on TikTok. And he does a wonderful job. What does having a person like Gary on your team in the news space, and I don't say this to be disrespectful, but he's not one of the younger people. Like Maya's not even close to 30 yet. So a person that's able to, but a person who, wasn't afraid to go there to, boost, news for Bermuda Broadcasting.
So I love Gary's entrepreneurial spirit. Gary is one of these people who will say, what is the harm in trying it? Right. And that's where that whole TikTok thing came from. We've been talking about over the course of the years, we need to be doing more on social media. We need to have a more appropriate digital media strategy. I don't disagree with any of that. We do. We need a proper framework. We need to have a proper business plan as it relates to what we're doing in the social media space, as well as digitally as a whole now. But Gary, I guess 2 years ago or maybe a year and a half ago, decided, you know what? If nobody else is going to try it, I'm going to try it. And I love that about him because he was prepared to take the risk. And yes, okay, we might be similar in age. And would I do a TikTok video? I guess maybe. I mean, I offered to enter the news the other night, but I got shut down, but that's okay. But, I think it goes to show, if anything, that it works. It's interesting because he gets so many followers, and they're not followers like you and I, Jamel, or our parents or our aunties and uncles. They are our kids who are watching him. And so now we're connecting across generationally with people that we wouldn't normally have ever had the opportunity to talk to. And I think that's very important.
I'll be honest with you. I only see TikTok if somebody shares a link with me, and I usually catch Gary's stories on LinkedIn. So that's just me being frank. Like, that's my space.
I'm a big LinkedIn person myself. I think because professionally, it's kind of led me there. It's interesting. I'm a little bit so much of a Facebook person also, because not necessarily for business, but for connecting with family. But also, I think it's interesting. Instagram, I like your points about Instagram. I'm on there, but I'm probably just scrolling too much. But TikTok for me, like, unless it's something related to my kids, I'm pretty much not there in that space, unfortunately. But we have to be everywhere. That's our responsibility. We have to be everywhere.
I love this industry. I love this space. I'm very honest about, we had a question on Bermuda Communications LinkedIn the other day about was asking, what do you love most about the industry you work in? Was it the money? Is it the work you do? So on. But you said something earlier, and everything to me in media comes back to the community. I don't want you to feel like, oh, it sounds like a broken record. It's true. That's what it really is for me. It's us, controlling the narrative and allowing people to share their stories. So news today is no longer us telling the story. It's really the engagement you mentioned. From a radio perspective, I think absolutely, I disagree with nothing you said, which I really wanted to have. I wanted to question something about it.
Challenge me, Jamal.
You're right, because it's so community. And here's what benefits radio in Bermuda, and I hope the audience really hears me on this. Unlike other jurisdictions, data is very costly in Bermuda. And because data is very costly, a lot of people will not, stream while they're driving or the like. And so that's where radio still has the advantage in Bermuda. I think radio really comes down to the personality. And you said something again about social media plan. You have to have a business plan. That's the same thing with being in this space this day. It's like you can't just show up to work. You have to be the entrepreneur. You said you love Gary's entrepreneurial spirit. That's it right there. You have to enter this space, whether a journalist, a radio personality, even like a producer background, like an entrepreneur, because you have to keep looking at what that next opportunity is in the space that you're working in. And the thing I wanted to touch on was collaboration. Again, I tell people all the time, there's no point in producing something. We're not Steve Jobs, right? Yes, everything we use today, he gave us. We didn't ask for it, but we're benefiting from it. We're not him. We're not. We have to really find out what people are interested in, or figure out the gaps that they don't know they're missing out on, right? But I believe in a small community, collaboration is definitely the way to go, because saturation in a small market isn't helpful for not only ourselves, but our community. It's not.
Mhm.
In saying that, the responsibility for Bermuda Broadcasting in particular is that much higher, because you're the only real TV, independent TV news station there. How do you intend to collaborate from a news perspective? We've spoken about content, but news perspective, because you said you're looking for a news reporter.
Like freelancers.
Right. How are you moving forward? Because again, freelance may be the way to go for certain people, and that may not be part of your model. How are you expecting to evolve in that space until we're able to get people trained and in this space? Because I believe we can teach a new generation that this is a space that they can believe in, work in, and make a living in.
Well, I think collaboration is incredibly important. We are a population size of 60,000, and we are all fishing in the same pot, basically. I think it's very important that we're able to share with potential partners what the needs, the various mutual beneficial needs are potentially. We have to sort of embrace and take a few risks, I think, and trusting in some individuals. And I mean, I know that, it is risky sometimes to put all your eggs in one basket, but I know, for example, there is something that I think our viewers would like to see, and we don't produce it and we don't manage that content, but I want to leverage it in a way that gets it out to more people, because I think that would be of benefit to the community. And so it's about sitting down and having the appropriate conversations with people and making sure it aligns with both parties' visions, right? Yeah, we need another news reporter. I'm not opposed to working with a freelance reporter. I'm also looking to bring them in-house. I would love to have a person in-house. We need to start building our team. I think it cultivates a level of belonging, and again enhances that trust factor as well, that we're not just going to use people and then say thanks, we're done now. I don't think that we can do that anymore.
Yeah, indeed. And over the years, I've seen so many Bermudians start off as journalists and then move into other spaces due to the money, or leave the island. I know so many people, and I'm just like, look, this is an opportunity. Like, it's a new day. It's a new day. Come home, come check it out. So I'm hopeful that you can find someone that is going to add
But
value.
if somebody wants to reskill, come and talk to me. If somebody wants to upskill, come and talk to me. I mean, if you're interested in this space, if you're interested in creating content, if you're interested in anchoring, if you're interested in radio announcing or DJing, the thing is, we have to always think about our succession plan. We need to think about what is coming next and who is coming next. And we have a bit of an aging group here at Bermuda Broadcasting, and we need some fresh faces. We need some fresh voices, and I'd really like to explore the opportunity. And it doesn't always have to be front facing. If you're a video gamer, come and talk to me, because I need somebody to help me in my switching room when I'm running the nightly newscast. So again, I think it's important that the skill sets in this industry are varied, and you can be a people person, or you could be a tech person, you could be an IT person. It does not matter. There is a role for you anywhere in this industry.
And I think, just like how we talked about earlier about meeting people where they are in terms of platforms, I think it's also important to go to these young people where they are too. Go to the schools, go to the clubs, go to the hubs, and talk about the career opportunities that are in broadcasting to get them there. Because even for myself, that was never there in Career Day. It was never an option. It was a moment that I had with Diane Brewer at Noah's Ark, and I was just like, can I come to the station just to see what you do? For that to build within the career, because I knew that journalism was my site. That was what I want to do. But again, I had to go and find it. Nothing was there for me. So we have to go into the schools to get people to know that these are career options.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Heather, we gotta let you go. We can talk for hours because
Girl,
this is our
oh my
favorite
God,
topic.
look at the time.
Yeah, this is our favorite topic. The audience is loving you. They're out there, but no, I hope this is not the last because I think again the whole purpose of collaboration is really I want people to get in this space. I love this space. I've been blessed and lucky to work in this space for Disney. I've been a country station. I've worked at Bermuda Broadcasting in the past. Some people may not know. I've been at Intel and Communications. I work CITV. I love it. I do. And I've had incredible opportunities in this space. I want to encourage so many other people to I'm not going to be doing this forever. I say that to Maya all the time, and I want to know that there's someone that can just come in and whatever I'm doing in this space, take it over and keep it going, but evolve it and improve it. And I just think media is so precious because most of our lives, most of the things we do, we may not admit it, but it's influenced by the media.
It absolutely is.
So, Heather, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
And
Yeah.
audience, if you know someone interested in media space or not, if they just want to retool, please reach out. Go up to Bermuda Broadcasting, tell them, look, hey, I'm interested in an opportunity. It's fun, but most of all,
Absolutely.
rewarding. It is rewarding.
Yeah. It absolutely is. Yep. I look forward to it. Anybody interested, please send me an email, give me a call. I'm happy to have a conversation.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jamel. Thanks, Maya.
All right. Other way, folks, if you appreciated the conversation this morning, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take our final break. Don't go anywhere. Do not go anywhere. When we come back, we'll wrap it up. But before we wrap it up and give our final thoughts on the conversation with Heather, we've got the daily play. So stick with us. We'll be back in 1 minute, 33 seconds.
It's time for another season of Bermuda Trivia, the game show. We've got new contestants trying their luck to see how much they know about Bermuda and Bermudians.
I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea.
Sorry, Darren. Thank God it was an easy one.
See how far they can go.
No risk, no reward. 9. Oh, Katrina.
I feel like this man's gonna know everything I throw at him. Tell everybody your name.
This is Dwayne Kings.
Alex Jones.
Sajay. Megan Tankard.
Yo, I'm Keith.
Ashley.
And Carly.
As they attempt to become the next big money winner.
Such a hard question.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms. Visit bcgtv.com to watch new episodes of Bermuda Trivia the Game Show, brought to you by Bacardi.
Take a look at our workwear for construction workers and tradesmen. Durable, stretchable in all the right places and plenty of options for tools and accessories. Pair with our wide range of tough and comfortable footwear, you can't go wrong. As you can see, Medical House really is a one-stop shop for everybody. We can't wait to see you.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
All right, welcome back, and thanks to Heather Lamb from Bermuda Broadcasting for that incredible conversation this morning. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Lenders, and People's Pharmacy for their continued support of these conversations that we have. If you haven't already, make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Let's get some young Bermudians, and well, any Bermudians who are looking maybe for a career change into this space. We need more of you. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Maya, it's a name that plays very easy. Are you ready?
You say it's easy and then it's going to be hard, but go on.
Okay, Maya, here we go. If Maya needs your help, I'm going to be if audience, if she needs your help, I'm going to be disappointed. Maya, here's your question of the morning. It's a name that place. What is the capital city of Portugal?
Azores? Wait, no. I'm sorry. Capital city of Portugal? I don't know that. I have no idea what that is. I'm not even going to try. I'm sorry. Oh, Lisbon. I would have never got it. I'm not good at places. I'm sorry. I'm not good at places at all.
Is that the first one you've gotten wrong? Like you haven't.
Because look, for some reason, I have a lot of things up here with music, but don't ask me anything about geography. I'm sorry.
Well, we're gonna add Charles there. By the way, I'm pretty sure the Azores is an island.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not.
My bad.
Portugal.
Okay, well, I just showed my ability on geography. It was very, very low.
On Thursdays more, folks. I like this, Maya.
No. Places go no.
We got it. All right, let's wrap it up. Okay, social media impact on Bermuda and Bermudians, and then obviously the conversation with Heather Lamb about the state of media.
We could talk about social media all day. I know that we can, and I'm sure the audience can too, because there's so many variations, aspects, layers to it as to what's needed, what's not. Should we put laws into it? What's the safety precautions? Yada, yada, yada. It's a lot. And I love just having this discussion because it can always vary in different ways, especially informative, which is probably the most important. Having Heather on was definitely a breath of fresh air, like someone commented in the media landscape, especially for Bermuda Broadcasting Company. I really am looking forward to a shift in seeing things, to see more content being put out there as well, and getting more people involved in journalism and media. I mean, I know that there is a huge interest and a lot of people wanting to see themselves on the screens, whether it be their own personal phones or on some sort of channel or show like Bermuda Trivia. So it's just about honing that talent and that interest into something, even bigger, trustworthy even, and something for the community that elevates and pushes us forward a bit more. So really engaging in conversation.
Indeed. For social media, again, I think for the most part it's a necessary evil. I think everyone, if we use it to our advantage, where it's helpful to ourselves, our families, our communities, it can be a great thing. I am concerned with the use of it by young children, but I think if it's monitored, it can even be great for them to, learn new things. TikTok is a great way to learn things, but just make sure that the algorithms are set for their demographic. As far as Heather, what can I say? I mean, I think she's a gem. I think she's a person that's needed in this space. And most of all, she gets it. Honestly, I think she gets it. I think one of the challenges in media for me in Bermuda is that most Bermudians don't get it. And I'm not just talking about the audiences. Like, you cannot expect what you see in media in the United States in Bermuda. Someone wrote in the comments about concerns about what goes wrong or technological challenges, right? I'll tell you when things will change. And I'm not taking any shots at anyone in particular, but the truth is, when people start to value media, the community will get that kind of quality. But people don't value us. You cannot stop comparing what's delivered in a small town versus what you see in a big city. You cannot. Focus on the quality of content. I mean, I was excited. I'm being real. When they announced Eastern counties, that excited me because it's something that was never done. We speak about county game all the time. Mm-hmm. People want to know. I remember going on websites, refreshing, texting groups, what's the latest at the county game? Like, they're working on making it easy. But you know what that's going to take? It's going to take keeping their money in our community.
You can hear you.
What's that?
There you go.
I don't know what happened. But no, it's going to take people really understanding what it is that's needed to move the needle. And that means investment and understanding and support in so many ways. Collaboration, engagement. And, it's not just about advertising. We're not just asking for donations. We're businesses, right? Bermuda Broadcasting is a business. They're not asking for charitable donations. They're asking for support to engage with the community where they are. Mm-hmm. So my hope is that through all of this, people will have a better understanding of the media, its role, and really help Bermuda get into a better space in 2024. Because I tell you what, if we don't support local mediums right now, you see that piece that Teo shared about AI yesterday? That's what we're going to be dealing with. You do not want AI reporting your news, folks. You do not want AI on your radio. You do not want AI telling your story. Support local media. Maya, you got some daily inspiration for us?
Got some daily inspiration for you, Jamal. Social media is both a dark and brilliant thing for mental health, and that's from Farron Cotton.
Man, gee, that was heavy, man. That was heavy. Well, folks, please don't, make sure, take 2 minutes. If you 10 seconds, 1 second, 5 seconds. Like, love, share. But make sure, most of all, you engage your family, your friends, your colleagues about the very things we're discussing on this show. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical Windows and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Maya Palacio, I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are Izelle. Peace.